Hello everybody. Welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all doing great. And that you're all having a great day. Make sure that you're also continuing to take care of yourselves. That is a very important thing. I know the cryptocurrency bull run, bull market is very important, but you also got to make sure you drink water and take care of yourself as well. Don't forget to leave a like. It's a free and easy way to help and support the channel. And without any further ado, let's jump right into it. It didn't take long. I swear to actual goodness, because we were just talking about this. For those of you who've managed to miss like the last 5 or 6 videos, cryptocurrency companies, I think, have actually completely lost their mind. A lot of what I think is happening is that the market's doing well. The market's rising. Got it? Awesome. So there's been like a mad dash for a while to accumulate a lot of Bitcoin. As we went over before, we now know and have known for a while that companies have been accumulating Bitcoin since around 2014. Yes, almost more than a decade at this point. A lot of them were doing it secretly back then. Then MicroStrategy and like 2 other companies jumped into the fray to talk about how much they own as well. We heard multiple times this year already, MicroStrategy normally only buys like once or twice a year, give or take. They've obviously ramped it up, but historically we hear about it like once in the summer, and then they'll announce sometime around winter, hey, we're thinking of doing it again, and everyone goes, oh my gosh, I can't believe it, they're going to buy more Bitcoin. They announced earlier that I don't even know if I have the time frame right anymore. They announced that they were going to be buying, I think, several $100 million worth of Bitcoin. Then they said they were going to try and raise, I think, $800 million. And then they had a third offering for like one. They went over that one, and that one made the news because they said they ended up raising $1.1 billion to buy Bitcoin, which was like, geez Louise, guys, like, hold on. Like this, it's getting kind of intense. Then they announced that they were raising another, was it 2 point something billion? And then they came out with that news that they're doing that 21 strategy thing, where basically over the course of 2 years, starting next year in 2026, they're going to try and raise an additional 42 billion US dollars to buy Bitcoin. And I was like, okay, you guys need to cool it. Like it's getting a bit redonkulous at this point. And then we recently had, this is all the same year. This isn't like, I'm not talking about a decade. This is less than the 10 months of this year. They recently announced that they were going to, that they purchased 51,000 Bitcoin in one day. That was kind of the kicker, because that to me was like, things are getting not even real, like they're getting rough. Like these companies are kind of going overboard with this idea of acquisition. I understand greed, money, la-di-da, everybody wants it. But it's also like, so have you ever heard, it's not even a theory, like it's just the way that things are. You've seen it in movies, and we had it on the Disney Channel years ago when we were younger. The idea of owning all the money in the world means that money has no value. If you had all the money in the world, it would mean nothing, because it would be worth nothing because you have all of it. People can't use it. People can't transact in it. It's kind of the same thing. Like I saw something years ago where someone was like, I wish I had all the diamonds in the world. And it's like, yeah, well, they would have no actual value. So they recently just purchased 51,000 Bitcoin. We were talking about it in the video because current estimates, as far as like liquid Bitcoin, what there's left for the rest of the world it's teetering around like the hundreds of thousands. People, I think the estimate that we got was like 1.4, 1.5 million. I forgot, something like that is actually left on crypto exchanges. But those coins aren't liquid. They belong to people who are also not selling them. So here we are yet again, my friends, because I gave it I was like a month or two. Like, we're going to hear about them again. They're going to be doing some other kind of shenanigans. Nope. They're already back in the news like 2.5 days later. This is also following the news that we just had from Marathon Digital, the Bitcoin mining company, that they are trying to raise $700 million as well to buy more Bitcoin. We also, what's this company's name? The one in Tokyo. Starlight Express. I can't remember what they're called, but they also just said that they're trying to do the exact same thing, and they're trying to raise, I think, $11 million. It sounds nicer in yen. It's like 1 billion yen, like something like that. But they're also trying to raise that money as well to buy more Bitcoin. So MicroStrategy has jumped back into the pool that they basically own by themselves, and it's a bit ridiculous. The early bird gets the worm, or so the adage goes in the case of MicroStrategy. It's just been over 4 years of steadily stacking Bitcoin, and MicroStrategy wants even more. They said on Monday evening that they're planning to raise an additional $1.75 billion US dollars. An additional $1.75 billion through convertible notes to buy more of the world's largest crypto and for general corporate purchases. If you saw one of the last couple of videos, I was talking about anxiety. Without going into the entire story again, I had a friend years ago who was trying to convince me that I should get into around $200,000 worth of debt every single month to buy up enormous amounts of real estate and how much richer I would be. And I was like, no, bro, my anxiety goes high if I owe someone like $5. Nonetheless, 200,000. These companies, the money that they're raising is in debt to the actual company. And it's getting it's been out of hand, but now it's ramping up and gearing up. We can only assume that the anticipation is that Bitcoin is, so the saying goes, going up to hundreds of thousands of dollars. If you haven't been here before, all of the analysts are saying over and over, and they're all on the same track, 200,000, 300,000, $500,000 Bitcoin. We've even heard from a couple people all the way in the back talking about $1 million Bitcoin next year. I would assume a company that has billions of dollars probably also has some good analytics that we are not attuned to, that we simply do not have. And therefore, their numbers must also be showing them this is worth it. If we take out X amount of money and Bitcoin does a 5X, therefore we've made 5X the amount of money. You get the general idea. But this public situation is getting a bit odd, as far as when I say public, is because in crypto news, people tend, if you point in one corner, point in a corner, people tend to only look at that corner and they forget that the rest of the house has 4 walls. The rest of the room that you're in is also still a room. So we have news all the time of acquisitions from the Bitcoin ETFs, from other countries who are buying Bitcoin, from other investors such as you, who may be buying Bitcoin on any given day. The estimated hundreds of millions of people in this market who are buying up Bitcoin and crypto all the time. So we'll see a news story that says they're about to buy $1.7 billion worth of Bitcoin. They just only bought 51,000 Bitcoin, not realizing that that same exact day, other companies heard that and they said, we also got to buy another 1,000. We got to buy an extra 500. And millions of people were like, how do I get more? And those coins end up adding up as well. So Yeah, it's getting a bit rough. My time frame is somewhere around 2 years when there's no, like, actually mathematically, this isn't being dramatic, where there's no Bitcoin left on exchanges that's actually liquid or there to buy. So it looks like we're accelerating. If these people are back in the news in a week, it's going to be crazy because, like, there's not a lot of Bitcoin left and they keep buying all of it. If we were hearing that one company was buying $100 million worth of Bitcoin, you know how exceptionally crazy that number would be? You know how rich you have to be to even be like, we have an extra 100 million. What do we do? I don't want another island. I'm tired of all these yachts. Let's buy some numbers on a screen. That sounds the most logical. But now it's like $1.7 billion. I think last we heard, they're nearing around $20 billion worth of Bitcoin. The zero interest, wow, senior notes will mature in 2029 and be offered to qualified institutional buyers. It's always, they only offer them to rich people. If everything, geez Louise, if everything goes according to plan, sorry, I don't know what's going on. If everything goes, that's a lot better. Wow. If everything goes according to plan, the company could get their hands on an additional 19,000 Bitcoin. So last we heard, MicroStrategy is now holding 330,000 Bitcoin. Part of their mantra, and I think it was said as a joke, but in part of, every joke, there's like a little bit of truth inside of it. They mentioned years ago that they want 1 million Bitcoin, which I won't get into. Did any of you ever see that movie In Time? I mean, it's not the best movie in the world, but it's, what have you. It's not even not spoiling it. The movie's like 15 years old. There's a part of it, basically, time is their money. Like, everyone has like a number on their arm that shows like how much like currency they have left, or how much time, if you will. And of course, rich people on their arms, they have hundreds and thousands of years. And there's one part where they like break into this like rich man's fortress. I don't know what it is. And they steal like 1 million hours from him. And he goes, no, my first million. And I think about that all the time. I really do. I promise you. I think about it all the time when I think about MicroStrategy. Do you understand if time is money, but if money was time, vice versa, and someone had 1 million hours, like just sitting there, like in a room, how insane that would actually be. And I think that in terms of, I'm just telling you from the heart, in terms of like MicroStrategy, when it comes to like their acquisition of it, if Bitcoin is going to succeed, it's because normal people have Bitcoin. Like, the Bitcoin has to have value because normal people are using it. I understand that your dreams, desires, and goals are to own 1 million Bitcoin, but you're also then, 1 million, it's literally knocking out, depending on the metrics you want to use, it's knocking out 100 million people, 100 million people from ever owning 1 million Satoshis. And if you want to do the other metric, like for actual, like what Bitcoin would be if it was evenly divvied up, it is nearing 500 million people who will never be able to have as much Bitcoin that they would be able to have if Bitcoin was evenly divided amongst people in the world. It completely eschews the idea of what Bitcoin is and who it's for. Once again, this is a personal thing. I've seen the comment section. I've seen the comment section, and I know that a large number of people, not only do you not care about anything that I say, but you also don't care about other people. And you would love for nothing more than for Michael Saylor to have all the Bitcoin. It's kind of similar. What was the, oh yes, yeah, it's also Michael Saylor as well. That thing sometime in the summer when he was calling Bitcoin boring, which I was like, you're sure buying a lot of it, calling it boring. There was a thing when Michael Saylor, oh gosh, what was it? I'm pretty sure it was him. He was saying that the US, like the United States, should have 51% of all the Bitcoin in the planet. And I was like, do you understand how numbers work? Do you understand what and who Bitcoin is for? But I also have a theory, and I don't think it's a theory. I think it's like just a really. I think when you become a billionaire, I think you lose your mind. I think you lose your grip on reality. That's not a joke either. There have been studies, but I think the human mind kind of goes crazy around $1 billion because your mind can't conceptualize how rich you are and how much money you're making every single second. So I think like they actually lose such a huge amount of grip with reality that nothing else really makes sense to them anymore. I think like when you're around like 50 million, 35 million, around there, I think you begin to get a little bougie, what have you. But I think you still have like a relative grip on reality, especially if you kind of came from nothing or you grew up poor. But I think when you hit that $1 billion number, I think people get a little goofy and start doing really weird stuff. If the US owned 51% of all the Bitcoin and MicroStrategy owned another 10 to 15%, you know that the rest of the world would just choose not to use Bitcoin, right? When it's so consolidated in that way, people would go, well, that's so and so. And all the companies in the world, the US and the companies within the US buying Bitcoin, if they owned 75% of all of it, do you think the rest of the world would go, oh man, okay, we got to use it? Or do you think they would just simply keep the fiat system that they have or make a new form of fiat or choose another coin? This is a real thing. This is like an actual like thing. Like I understand, but I wonder what the end goal is for MicroStrategy. Obviously, like it's to buy up as much Bitcoin as possible, but Bitcoin's value diminishes because people aren't using it. Remember when we heard before, this was a couple years ago. We were hearing about these like new wallets that kept on popping up in Argentina and Venezuela and Turkey and a bunch of other countries. And Bitcoin's value proposition actually rises from that because it shows that there are more people who are going to use it. If the only people using something are within a certain region, it has no actual value. But if we get 1 billion people into the market who are using Bitcoin as like an actual currency over and over and over, this is what I was telling you before, I don't think that people are going to actually use their Bitcoin until Bitcoin's value goes over $1 million. Because it's less likely that people will want to sell large chunks of Bitcoin knowing that their Bitcoin stash goes down. So if Bitcoin does a 10x and even further higher when it gets to several $1 million, I think people will be more inclined to spend $25 worth of Bitcoin knowing that they're not taking out a huge portion of what they actually have. I think it'll take years and years. But I mean, at this rate, the future of Bitcoin rests on the shoulders of people around the world using it. It's meant to be a currency. This company said they never plan on selling any of their Bitcoin. So if you don't understand what I'm saying, you might want to just Google some stuff about how like the world and finance and money actually works. When wealth is too heavily concentrated in like one corner, the idea of just the US, it doesn't make any sense. The US owning 51% would be a debacle for Bitcoin because anytime the US moved money, did something with their Bitcoin, the value of Bitcoin would drop dramatically. The logical solution would be that every country has 1% or 0.5% of Bitcoin. That's how you like make sure that everyone benefits and that Bitcoin stays around forever. If only the rich benefit in the system and the other 99% don't, have you forgotten what takes place? So MicroStrategy is going to continue. This was when I tell you, this was very popular news, your brain cannot conceptualize exactly how popular this news was. because people love it when the rich get richer. I mean, they stand on their beds, they stand on chairs, and they clap as loud as humanly possible. I don't know why. This money is never going to trickle down to you. It will never. Remember that oh gosh, it's been such a weird year. For those of you who missed it around like the beginning of autumn, Michael Saylor once again said, because oh gosh, what did he say? He said something bad about Bitcoin. Oh my gosh, yes. Michael Saylor said, oh gosh, what was it? It wasn't about, I just had it. That's crazy. He called Bitcoin boring. There we go. He was saying that he thinks that everyone should give their Bitcoin to banks. Do you remember this? This is what I keep saying. We keep having this crazy news and everyone keeps forgetting. Not that I'm screaming at you. I'm screaming at the world. It's just more of a like, people forget that this crazy stuff that people say all the time. Michael Saylor announced that MicroStrategy is eventually going to try and transition into a Bitcoin bank. And people were like, why would anybody want that? And he was like, well, because banks aren't that bad and like Bitcoin's meant to be like banked. And people were like, what? This is what I'm talking about. I think when you get to billions of dollars, you lose literal touch with reality. And then the next day he said, one of the core values of Bitcoin is being able to self-custody. Like you have the Bitcoin yourself. It's about moving away from the old system so that we have a brand new system that everyone can be a part of. Because historically, I know a lot of people don't know history. Historically, rich countries and banks have made sure that more than half of the planet, and it's the same right now, that 4 to 5 billion people on the planet, not only do they not have access to clean water, they have no access to the internet or to the monetary system. You know what Satoshi said? Let's fix that and make sure that everyone can have access to Bitcoin. You know what made it even cooler is when everyone has access to a smartphone. On your phone, you can take control of your own finance. Everyone can play a part in this, and we can make sure that when all the banks don't want to deal with poor people, that the poor people can say, I don't need you. I have 300,000 Satoshis. I have 1 million Satoshis. I have my own money. I can feed my family. I also don't have to work for these terrible wages of 5 cents per hour. That's the power of Bitcoin. And people forget that so quick because they're so concerned with rich people becoming richer and buying up everything. You jump for joy when Elon Musk gets richer. There was an article a couple of weeks ago. It was talking about, will he be the first trillionaire? I hope not. Because what a lot of you aren't understanding and what your friends don't understand and other people who are desperate to buy that metal rock car, whatever that ugly thing is that's like cutting carrots or whatever it's doing, that money comes from somewhere. It comes from your pockets. It comes from your pockets. While fiat can continue to be printed, that money goes in the hands of people who are already rich. The siphoning happens from your pockets. I just saw a video. It was so crazy. I just saw a video. These people were talking. It was like multiple things of multiple people talking. And they were like, I don't understand why I can't keep money in my pocket. There's one guy sitting in his car. He's like, I have to pay Netflix. I have to pay Amazon. I have the Prime thing. I have to pay Disney. I have to pay CNBC or whatever the other colorful one is. I have to pay this. I have this other thing that I'm paying off. I have my car lease. And he's like, I don't get it. Why can't I keep money in my pocket? And I was like, because the system is designed to make sure that you don't. You are incentivized all the time to spend your money on something, to get further in debt. I have an extra $400. Let's order some food. Let's order that thing I wanted to buy. I wanted some new shoes. My money's gone. Why don't I ever have any money? And then something like crypto rolls around. That is for the people, that is for the masses. If you had just bought a couple of years ago, how much money would you have? If you had bought 5 years ago, if you had bought 10 years ago, if you had bought Bitcoin 15 years ago. And you can even throw multiple other coins into that sentence as well. And then you sit there and you see these people becoming richer and you go, well, how in the heck are they becoming richer? 2020 happens. These companies are posting record profits. The incentive was you sit at home. We'll make sure that they don't get any money. You get a $1,200 paycheck. There you go. You're desperate. You want to buy stuff. You need more things. So what do? You take out debt. You start buying more things. You're further in debt. You don't understand how this debt is accumulating because you're purchasing 15 things a month that are costing you $25. You get bored and you go, well, I mean, I'm only paying 15 a month. Not really that is 15 times 25. So you buy other things. You buy a new car. I know people who lease a new car every single year. Yeah, rent is really high. I don't know. It's crazy. Why can't I afford my rent? If I told them the truth, they would stop talking to me. I don't need that negativity around me. Bitcoin is not for MicroStrategy. Bitcoin is not for Michael Saylor. I mean, logically, yes, he can buy it. You know, he's part of the citizenship of the world. This is crazy. This is absolutely insane. And the craziest part, once again, will end up being, I'm telling you the future, looking at my psychic orb right now. The rich will get richer. The poor will get poorer. The middle class will continue to be demolished. A large portion of you who are in this market right now think that you're going to make out like bandits. But what you're going to do is you're going to sell off your crypto before it even goes even higher. You're going to look back years later and realize that you should have kept a lot of that crypto. You will hear about these companies being worth trillions of dollars and you'll go, why don't I have a slice of that pie? Why am I not in that? We can't stop MicroStrategy from buying what they're going to buy. But the fact that normal people aren't paying attention to this is probably like one of my biggest sadnesses right now. Like actually, like I really mean that from my soul. Like I tell you, when prices go down, Bitcoin goes to $93,000. My view count skyrockets. Bitcoin fell back down to 87,000. I saw my views go down with it. And I'm like, your attention span is terrible. You thought you were making money one day. The next day prices go down. You lost a little bit of money. You go, oh, okay, whatever, fine. I don't care anymore. You're missing the bigger picture. Why are they taking out billions of dollars from a devalued currency and throwing it into Bitcoin? Why are there so many companies and countries trying to buy up as much as humanly possible of something that's finite? Someone points to the corner, you only look at MicroStrategy, but you're not getting that same exact day. We've been having billions of dollars worth of inflows for the Bitcoin ETFs. Why is no one paying attention to that? Because everyone's pointing in the corner looking at MicroStrategy. When there's nothing left, when the supply has dried up, remember these moments. That's why I always say, because there's always people who are interested in crypto. Educate them. Help them learn about it. If Bitcoin is going to $15 million a coin, I want you to benefit from it. Not a company who's like, let's just throw an extra $4.6 billion. They have money already. They're not struggling. These people don't work real jobs. They will never have to work again. I want you to make the money. I want you to skip away at the end of all this and go, I'm rich. I'm good. I'm happy now. I want you and your friends to be able to, like I said before, wake up. I want to go to Jamaica to have that kind of money. Why do you think these people are acquiring so much of these assets? This wasn't meant to be a rambling video. But people, you know how many videos I've seen online, on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok of people talking about how broke they are, and you see the gears in their head moving. I mean, I have to pay for this every month. I have this every month. I have so and so. I have that. I just got a new car. I can't pay for all this stuff. I'm already paying for that, and I'm paying for that. I'm supposed to not buy some new shoes. Remember, I told you one of my other videos on money rules, the ones where I was walking around when I was just in France. And I saw this video, this woman, she was talking. She was so annoyed because she had to cut back. She was like, I don't understand. Like, because inflation's bad. Like, I can't go get my hair done. I can't get my nails done. I can't so-and-so. What am I supposed to do? And I was like, save your money. Put your money away somewhere. Save it for the future. Invest it. Put it into something that's going to grow. She was upset. She was annoyed. She couldn't understand because inflation had risen and things had gotten more expensive. Now her life had to change by 3%. She couldn't have the same luxuries. And she was also complaining about how expensive everything was as well. The masses are going to have a hard time in the future. You've been set up. You've been lied to continuously buy, to continuously consume. We are meant to be consumers by default. When I tell you I save all my money, I keep investing all my money, there's a reason. I don't want to go back to that. I don't want to go back to being a consumer, not having any money. Where's my rent coming from? Where's this happen? How am I going to work on this? And you see these companies becoming richer and richer. These people posting record profits all the time. And you go, how are they doing it? I don't understand. It's because of you. Because you keep funneling money into their pockets. If someone goes from being worth $200 billion to $1 trillion, where do you think that $800 billion came from? My goodness, this is going to be another. In 10 years, I think we're going to see, it won't be, I can't even think of the word. It won't be a Great Depression. It'll be the great anxiety, the great anger, when people realize all this stuff has been going on and they missed out. You know how many people I know who buy clothes all the time, buy shoes, go on, like beautiful vacations. 2 weeks on this island, jumping around, and they are broke. They don't have anything. They can barely pay their rent. They're showing off for Instagram and they're showing off. And when I talk to them, they're trying to live their best lives right now. I'm like, you are 32 and a half years old. You think you're not going to get to 64 and be like, where's my money? That documentary I saw, last point. I watched a documentary. This was a year or two ago. They were talking to these older people who can't retire. They will never, ever retire. They don't have anything in the bank. Jack diddly squat. And they were talking to this one woman and her husband, but she was talking. And they were saying, why couldn't you retire? What's the problem? And she was like, well, the government didn't help me. The government didn't do this. They didn't have so-and-so. And they were asking her about other people. Did anyone else, have they all retired? She said, yes. I see my friends all the time, like from the window of my job or when I'm walking by. I see them at a cafe. I see them at a restaurant. I see them at so-and-so laughing and enjoying their life. She's like, it's not fair. It's not fair. It's not fair. So then they go, well, what led you to this situation? And that she snapped. She was like, it was me. She was like, when I was younger, all I wanted to do was party. And she had, when I tell you tears, it was one of the saddest things I've ever seen. Tears. She was like 70 something flowing down her face. It was really. She was like, all I wanted to do was party. All I wanted to do was hang out. I didn't think about investing. Someone told me to put money away. She was like, I'm in my 20s. I'm in my 30s. I'm in my 40s. I don't have to think about that. None of that makes any sense. Why would I have to put any kind of money away? And then she realized that her pension was only like $300 or $400, which is also a very common story. You'd be shocked at how many people dip into their 401k, dip into their pension all the time so that they can go on vacation, that they can go live their best life. Her pension was $400 a month. She was in her 70s. Her and her husband, she said, we have to work until our last day. We can't do anything else. We have no other money coming in. She's like, my bones hurt and I have to work every single day. People can hear that. People can see that and go, not going to happen to me, and then go keep living their same best life, throwing money into the wind, throwing money to these companies. You know how many people in crypto, remember I told you before, one of my mantras, if you decide to take profit, if you decide to do whatever you want to do in this market, please, I implore you, I nearly beg you, the first thing you do is buy a house. You buy land. You buy an investment property, something that will continuously make you your money. And even then, I cannot tell you what to do with your money, but if you buy a sports car, a luxury car, you're trying to make yourself lose the race. You know how many people are planning on buying a $200,000 car when they take profit from this market? Did you see that video? This was big. This was a couple months ago. It was on TikTok and on Instagram. There was this guy. He was crying. He had made money through Forex and all these other things, and he thought the money would last forever. I think he was living in Dubai. I don't remember. The first thing he did was buy a Lamba Mazda Mubarati, whatever these cards are called. And it was like $250,000. And he had all these videos showing him. So it was like a compilation. Someone showed him buying it, how happy he was. It was all the money that he made from the market. He's doing this and he was doing that. He's doing cartwheels and blah, blah, blah. He's so happy. And then at the very end, he was like, yeah, I lost the position I had. He's like, I don't have any money coming in. He's like, I need to sell this car, but no one wants to buy it because it's used. And he's like, it's not even big enough for me to sleep in. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, I didn't save anything that I was making because he thought that money would last forever. You got to get it together. Like, you got to get your life in order because no one else is going to do it for you. You have to get your life in order. You have to have actual priorities. If you take profits from this market and you end up making $16 million after you have bought about 10 investment properties, go buy your little car. Even then, what? You know what I can do with $200K? You know what kind of art I can buy? What kind of properties I can get? Please. I hope you got something from this video. I hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.